Well, Amorim impressed by Mason Mount and Marcus Rashford. So, we all know today is the eve for Ruben Amorim's debut for Manchester United. You know, he really came in through on the 11th and jetted down Manchester. Went ahead to obviously hold his first interview, and then on Friday, that was yesterday, went ahead obviously hold his first presser as a United manager ahead of a competitive game that Man United is said to be playing, that is against Ipswich, that is tomorrow. So smash the like button, comment and share. If you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on the stories that we do upload in here on a daily. And it's really one of those moments that I'm really going to be reacting a lot to, because I really have my own reservations onto what is being really spread out by the media. But all in all, you have to look out and really understand that it's a new era. Let's back this man, let's give him the support he deserves, and see whether he can really get something out of these players that have failed very many managers. Can Ruben Amorim be that man that is really going to be getting the best out of these managers? All that and more into this video. I'm calling in for 200 likes to be smashed on this video, and let's obviously start off with Mason Mount. Now, Amorim on Mount, he said, "I have to tell you that I love this boy. You can see in his eyes that he's determined, and that is that most important thing for me. I know he has suffered from injuries, but now he's trying to stay fit, and we hope that he can continue to be fit." Now, Mason Mount is one of those players that I cannot come out and obviously judge out here, because he hasn't gone ahead to obviously find himself fit. You get? And you give him a chance under a new manager like Ruben Amorim, who came in through his own doctors, physios, and so on and so forth, because we all know to it that Eric Ten Hag was really giving them what we call intensive training, right? And maybe it would have gone ahead obviously cause injuries, you understand? But that doesn't really come in as an excuse for Mason Mount, because if you're not available, then you're not useful to our team, and you don't make that pure sense that a club like Manchester United will obviously be looking in for, to see to it that you put in the required shift altogether. So the manager loves Mason Mount, and he sees determination in his eyes. By the way, when you go back to the Mason Mount of Chelsea, you know, ever since he really made his debut in the season of 2019, 2020, and what really made him really make that debut, because Chelsea were banned from signing players, I think, for a full season, and that's why he really went ahead obviously get himself a chance into that Chelsea side. And in his debut season, this is what Mount had to do: 37 games, 7 goals and 5 assists. Then the next season, 2020, 2021, 36 games, 6 goals and 5 assists. His best season so far in the Premier League was in the season of 2021, 2022, where he went ahead obviously where he played 32 games, 11 goals and 10 assists. That is it. And that is Mason Mount for you. And to relate to all that best season of him at Chelsea, this is a statement that I'm going to relate it to, coming in from the manager, that is Ruben Amorim. He said, "Mount played in this system before, so it's perfect for him. I have 2 positions for Mason Mount, so he should be very happy." Now, should we obviously come up and really believe that Mason Mount performs better in a 3-4-3 system like that of Ruben Amorim, that is trying to obviously instill at Manchester United? Because at Chelsea, his best season came in when they're really playing that system under Thomas Tuchel, and I know he's really giving him superlatives because he went ahead obviously score a goal in the Champions League final. Now, if you're having a player like Mason Mount and he's really scoring goals into a Champions League final, or goals that are really decisive, you have to obviously come up and really understand that it's one of those players that you need. And I know he likes him a lot because of that. You know, he's a good player, but not exceptional. But he kills off big games. And you know to it that Ruben Amorim watched all those big games when he was playing at Chelsea, and he knows exactly what Mason Mount can offer. And we all know to it that on one of his best days, he's really one of the best midfielders that you'll ever want, obviously, have in your team. But he needs, obviously, make himself available, like, to be consistent. And this comes in through as a very big question that have we finally gotten a manager who is really going to threaten, Bruno Fernandes status quo at Manchester United? Because Bruno Fernandes looked untouchable into that number 10 role. And the manager is like, all right, we're obviously going to come up and obviously put in a very big impression to obviously get Mason Mount in. And when he says that he has two positions where he can play him in, I think he can play him as a number 10, and then he can also play him in a double pivot. You understand? Now, this is where we want to see this system that has how many midfielders? 4 midfielders. Yet that system of Erik ten Hag that he used to play really hard to obviously have 4, but who are really wide. But in the system we are really having we are having players who are really going to be playing centrally, in that attacking phase of Manchester United. And if you take off Bruno Fernandes, if you put on Bruno Fernandes, I see to it that Mason Mount's role is really limited, and I don't know what the manager is really going to be doing like into that system, because he's really going to be having very many players. And this is why I tell you that, is it the very first time that we are seeing a Bruno Fernandes position under threat, that we are having a manager who is willing to share that number 10 role with to see Bruno Fernandes share that number 10 role with Mason Mount? Like, sometimes Mason Mount starts, sometimes Bruno Fernandes starts. Because if Mason Mount keeps himself fit and he starts firing in goals, I tell you what, everyone will be like, all right, maybe Mason Mount should start ahead of Bruno, because both are really statistics players. Their stats have always gone ahead, obviously, speak volumes for them into their career. But Bruno Fernandes is the captain, and we wait to see how the manager is really going to really make it. But all in all, Manchester United as a club is really blessed, by the way. If Mason Mount can hit the ground running, I tell you, we'll be having a threat. And maybe he will be pushing Bruno Fernandes enough to obviously maybe get us even what we haven't gone ahead to see him really get us. Because ever since Bruno Fernandes has gone ahead obviously put in a shift season in, season out, I tell you what, it hasn't been the same. It hasn't been the same at Manchester United, but no player has come up and obviously put him on pressure, like give him a chance for his position. So I just want to see how Mason Mount is really going to be doing this. If he can give him a chance for that position, I'm really going to be impressed, and I'm really going to be doing the needful. And he's this kind of guy who hasn't gone here to play a lot. That's why I'm not judging him, and I'm just judging him for not being available. But the physics of Manchester United are also to blame. Last season, he played 14 Premier League games and scored 1 goal. 2 Europa League games this season, 3 Premier League games this season. So we wait and see how Mason Mount is really going to make himself available. And I worry a little bit for this guy, because when you look at what he's really doing, and every time he really gets an injury, he really goes out for long. And what went ahead to obviously put me into a shocker was all about what went ahead to put him in a shocker was the concussion that he really got. Well, which team were you playing against? There is a team that we are playing against. He got off the field of play, and then because of a concussion, he has spent close to a month without kicking a ball. You understand? So I'm waiting to see how Mason Mount really returns to play part into the side of Manchester United. But that's what Amorim is really talking about, that the guy is really great and he is ready to obviously integrate him into the system. And by the way, that doesn't give Mason Mount guarantee that he's really going to be into the starting 11 for the club of Manchester United, though he has been playing into the system. We're playing the system before. And I think Bruno Fernandes has a space there, and this other player has gone ahead to shock me, because we've gone ahead to see to it that the board of United really sees Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes as the faces of Manchester United. But is it really true? Because when Erik ten Hag was coming in through, he was told that you are supposed to make these players good. And he was like, all right, let me try. First season he did, second season he failed. Third season he has also gonna hit obviously fail. So that is exactly what is happening from the side of Marcus Rashford. And Ruben Amorim asked about Marcus Rashford. He said, Rush is trading very well. He can play the three positions in front, so it's a good thing. He'll be ready on Sunday. Now, obviously, we know to it that he can play as a centre forward because that's the position that ushered him into the club of Manchester United, or the first team of Manchester United under Louis van Gaal, under Midtjylland. You remember he scored a brace on Thursday. Sunday, he scored a brace against Arsenal. Then the next weekend, went ahead, obviously, scored a goal against Man City when he was really leading the line. In that time, Antoine Martial was injured. Memphis Depay, I think, was also injured and really lacked quality up front. They went up for Marcus Rashford to put in the required shift altogether. Now, the manager says he's training very well and he is really ready, for Sunday. Now, three positions that he can play, obviously. All those three positions is that position he can play. But we all know that he's really impressed in really playing wide. And in this system, obviously, we are really having players who are really going to be playing narrow. There is no time of spending playing onto the wide areas, meaning that most of the times, Rashford has to be playing centrally, something that is really very, very bad for him. And I don't know whether he can obviously come up and really put in a realistic shift into that moment, because I'm like, what exactly is really going on, for this guy? Because if he's really praising him, I don't think he's the best that we're really having, unless otherwise he's really going to change his system a little bit and say that I'm really going to play a 3-4-3, with that will facilitate Marcus Rashford. But in that system, you'll be killing Bruno Fernandes, one of the best creators that you have on the pitch. And if you say you're going to play him centrally, you know exactly what is really going to happen if you play him centrally, because he's not good, playing behind a centre forward centrally. Leading the line, I think it will be sacrificing. It will be like treating Rasmus Højlund as a sacrificial lamb into this, that obviously I don't want to obviously see the legacy of Marcus Rashford really obviously be put down, because you don't want to obviously succumb to the pressure of the media, you understand? So he has to make big decisions as the manager for the club of Manchester United, and I'm here waiting to see how things are really going to be panning out into this system. So let's watch the space and see how everything is really going to be panning out in here onto the United Matters channel. So Marcus Rashford might find himself into the starting 11. And guys, there is something that I really had obviously noticed when I really had the manager giving superlatives to Mason Mount and Marcus Rashford. Remember, the brand Manchester United was built on English players, and when you look at my probable starting 11, how many English players were there? By the way, I think you can count Evans because they come from the United Kingdom. Kobe Mainoo was on the bench for me. So I think there was no almost English player. You understand? So I don't think that Ruben Amorim is ready to obviously go ruthless against these English players. You understand? So I don't think that there is anyone who is really going to get that lineup, like even 70%, like get 7 players right in that team. Because for me, my probable starting 11 has Onana, Lenny Yoro, Delete, Evans, Malacia, Dalo, Casemiro, Ugarte, Bruno Fernandes, Amadi Diallo, and Rasmus Højlund. Now, whoever gets 7 players right in the team that's going to be playing tomorrow against Ipswich, just know you're a genius, and you would have wanted to read the mind of the manager very well. So I sign out for now. See you later. I call upon for your reactions into the comment section below. Rokan David is my name. Hope you guys are really having fun, and here we go to wait and see how tomorrow we're really going to be lining up against that side of Ipswich. The manager of Ipswich has come out and really had something to say. I'm really going to be letting you know what Kylian McKenna has gonna hit to say about the club of Manchester United as Ruben Amorim faces him in his debut for Manchester United in the Premier League. Teams have gonna hit to win, and I think Man City is being beaten. And now this is how people really don't understand the game of football. Who knew that Man City would obviously go this and obviously lose? And they're having 23 points. If Man United wins tomorrow, we are going to be having 18 points, 5 points behind Man City. Can you imagine? For the bad season that we've had and how we started, if we win tomorrow, we'll be at 18, 5 points behind Man City. So everything is possible and nothing cannot really change. Is Pep Guardiola's era coming to an end? This will be a fifth game consecutively that Pep is going to hate to lose in a row. So I'm out. Bye-bye. I'm going to be returning later and see what story I'll be having for you, as Ruben Amorim also has other things that he is going to hate to speak about. Bye-bye.